Okay, now we're ready for part 2 of week 7 of cis204, Unix shell scripting and utilities, and we're going to continue with our discussion of interactive bash. We've seen this before. You can stick multiple commands separated by a semicolon on the command line. So if I go to a file in my home directory, and let's clear this out, cd to music, right? Okay, there we go. Now what's this goofy little command? I can do an ls-a, and while you're at it, show me the path. So how's it going to list this? Well, it's going to show me all of the files in the music directory, including the hidden files, which is what the -a option will do. And after it completes that, it will then run the command pwd. So the output should look like this. I should see a listing of all of the files, including the files that have a dot in front of them in this directory, music. And it should then, after it completes that process, then runs a pwd and sends that output to the terminal. Here you go. There's a dot, there's a dot dot, there's a directory called Christmas, and there is a number of other MP3 directory or MP3 files, and the last thing it did is the pwd, and it's the ls-a separated by a semicolon and a pwd, and that's how it works. Okay, pretty interesting. However, what happens if I want to run that ls-a and the pwd and the date, and I want to stick it into everything that I just ran, and I want to put it into a file? Okay, well, I can use output redirection to put it into a file. And if I was going to do this without this special stuff, what I'd end up doing is I'd end up doing an ls and sending that output to the file, and then I'd do a pwd and I'd send that output to the file using the append, which is the greater than, and then I'd stick that date in there for grins and use the append again. And that can be done. If I do an ls-a on test, it'll send it to, send the output to test, right? Okay, there we go. Let's do a pwd and append the output to test. Okay, there we go. And let's do a date and append the output to test. Okay, more test, right? Okay, there it is. Q. Now, let's do a cat for test because it's not going to be that big. There we are. Okay, so cheaper way of doing that. Why, sure. In fact, that's what we're all about. Let's do it the laziest way we can think of. Parentheses, ls-a, semicolon, pwd, semicolon, date, close paren, send all that to test. Now I'm overwriting test, but that's okay. Cat test. Yep. There it is. Exactly as we asked for it. It works. Heck of a deal. Okay. So that's multiple commands grouped with output to a single file. Multiple commands separated by a semicolon and closed within parentheses can then, the output of those commands can then be set to a single file. And they will be sent to that file in the order they were processed. In this case, ls-a, the print working directory, and then the date command. So that's something to keep in mind that you can do. Every now and then that might be useful. You can also do conditional execution of commands. Oh man. So you've got a command that you want to run. And we used to use this on a fairly regular basis. You're looking to see if a condition exists. So is the file there? If the file's there, then I want to do something else. If the file's not there, then I want to do this. With the double ampersands, if the first command is successful, The second command is then executed. So if you find the file, then run this job against the contents of that file. With double pipes, if the first command fails, the second command is executed. Look for the file. If it's not there, page me. Send me an email, and the email may rattle a pager. And in those days, it really rattled a real pager. It didn't just, go to your phone. There was an actual pager. And that's exactly how we use those types of things. Now, we've seen this before, and we've used this before, but you can put commands into the background. You use a single ampersand at the end of a command, and that will put the command into the background. It will execute in the background. Basically, it allows the prompt to be returned instead of waiting for the child process to complete. So at this point, you've put the child process into its own environment. So let's try this. So we do this sleep 30, right? Sleep 30 in the background, and then we'll look for it. Let's clear the screen. Sleep 30, stick that in the background. Then we'll do a PSEF and grep for, grep for sleep, right? There it is. 25353. There it is. 25353. And notice that grep command also shows up, and it's 25355. Okay. Foreground. %1, right? Okay. Brings sleep back into the foreground and finishes, and then lets it complete. Okay. Job control. Well, you can use job controls to stop jobs, run them in the background, or bring them into the foreground, which we just saw, or terminate them altogether. You can use the set-m, set-o monitor, and bash-m-i, which will allow job controls to be set. They're set by default in most images. So we can do this, and this is kind of a fun tool. If I do this VI, you'll see something interesting here. I just do a VI, right? Control Z, that's stopped. Okay. Now, let's do a sleep 25 in the background. Okay. Now let's look at jobs. I have a job, the VI job, and the sleep job. So if I do this jobs, ampersand, oh, that's fun. Let's do a foreground %1. There it is. Okay, that brought us into the current, and then we'll Control Z, and the Control Z jobs, right? Jobs again. Stopped VI. Okay. Let's do a jobs -X. Echo %1. Yeah, echo. Yeah. Come back to that. But we can kill $1. Job, let's see. Let's try this. Jobs -X echo %1. There we are. That's the actual number of the job 1. Yeah, 25373. And this is 25367, which is the VI job, right? Okay. And then I can kill %1 jobs. That still has it running. So kill -9 %1 jobs. It still stopped. So let's do this. PSEF grep VI. Events. All right. Service. Where did it go? It's in here somewhere. It killed. It finally killed. The kill -9 got it. Okay. So, yeah, a little bit sloppy, but it's there. It works. Command line shortcuts. Command completion, and you've been seeing this as we go through the whole thing. So let me get back in here. Let's clean this up. Let's CD back to where I'm at. Control L, and I'm going to CD to Documents, CI, Command completion. Notice what's going on. Files, right? No such file or directory. So here is, pardon me. Ha! I don't know what that's doing in there. But let me take a quick drink here. We've seen command completion. We type a partial command, then the tab key. And, pardon me, what will happen is the command will complete if it has enough information to make it work. Pardon me. So let me jump to the ATS-CIS environment. And if we go to the files, let's see what we've got here. So let's do an ls, all right, an Audi duty.txt. It found the Audi duty.txt, but there's also an Audi duty.txt example. So let's do that. Audi duty.txt. There it is. Okay. Command completion. So pressing the if you the second issue in ls with the start of a file name find in the earlier ls, then you press the tab key and watch it autocomplete. Pressing the tab key twice can show the available alternatives. Okay, well, we know we've got some available alternatives here, right? Audi duty.txt, tab. There, it tells me there's another Audi duty.txt floating around that can be used. So, okay, that's something to keep in mind. Command history. Command history is stored in Bash, and you use the up arrow or the down arrow key to go up and down through the history stack. The history command also shows the history. So if I do this, let's Control L, and let's get out of this. Let's do an FC-L. So those are the commands I've been putzing around with here. Okay. So there was the commands I did I did in week 4. Actually, it was yesterday, but I did these in the week 4 lecture. I did an egrep, and you saw those on the screen. So the FCL can be used to list, and also the history command can be used to list commands. So history. There is a history of the commands I've run. Notice. That's pretty interesting. If I wanted to pipe that to more, I could go on for a long time. There's all sorts of commands in here that failed because I fat-fingered them, or I had an incorrect version of a command that I was using. So, but that history is there. So wait a minute. I've got those goofy little numbers, right? Let's do this. Let's go back up here. You can use an exclamation point and the history number. So if I do 1000, that did the ls command. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's neat. In other words, I can scroll back through that history and run one of these commands. For instance, 977, right? 977. Ballbat 977. Hey, it found the A3s and A4s like I asked it to, right? There it is, egrep, A3 or A4 in the outydoody.txt. Found all of the A3s, and somewhere around here there's an A4. Sure enough. Okay, so here's another fun one. I fat finger. This is a major fat finger. That fins command, right? Well, that's not going to work. So how do I fix that? Well, here's a case of go find the first S and make that a D. And again, this is using a caret. A caret can be an inverse if it's inside square brackets. It can be the beginning of the line, or it can be used as substitution for the command line. And it's very simple. The problem is when you've got a finite character set, you're going to reuse those characters in ways that they not necessarily going to be the same. So that's fun, but it's interesting. So you fat finger a command, and you've wasted a half a day figuring this command out, typed it, and found out you typed the wrong thing. So it looks for the first S and substitutes that S with a D. That's exactly what happened right there. You could do that for something else in that. So anyhow, the built-in editors. Emacs editor is set by default. Okay. But if I'm Mr. King Kong and I want to make sure that I'm using VI, then by golly, I can set my editor, built-in editor, to VI. And when I try to do a Control-L, which will clear the screen, man, all I get's a Control-L. Command not found. Because what have I done? I've set my editor to VI. Oh, let's get that Control-L back. Set space dash O space Emacs. Control-L. It's back. Okay, so there's also a tool called fcedit, and you can take a peek at that. It's in the book. Aliases. Well, this is a fun one. I've actually set this. Alias, you can set an alias for an existing command. You've got 26 keys, 26 letter keys in this case, more than that. And you can decide that you're going to build large commands and alias them into single character commands. Real easy. If I've got that alias m equals less, and I do an m etc password, what do I get? I get this. I get less back, right? Okay. Heck of a deal. So the alias works. Alias m invokes the less command in this case, issuing the alias command without options shows you what aliases are currently available, and we've seen that before. There they are. And using unalias will delete the alias. Okay. Well, that's where we're going to leave off for part 2 of week 7. And we'll pick it up with part 3, the final part of week 7, in just a moment.